Hi there. I posted on the group last night and I asked whether you wanted for me to do something on leading in times of the unknown, chaos, whatever. And I was going to put a Zoom call together, but actually I thought, no, maybe the better way is to work in a much more agile way and just share some initial thoughts because I hope they'll help you to get started and get thinking. And as the week goes by, I'll be posting more lives. So any questions you've got, any experiences you want to share with the group that will help us in this time of uncertainty will be really very much appreciated. So I'm just a little bit off the cuff at the moment, and there's a couple of things I wanted to say really. And one is that as human beings we hate uncertainty, and God, is life uncertain right at the moment. We don't really know what's going to happen from one day to the next. And the other thing is that we're hardwired for survival, so we're seeing a lot of different survival behaviours at the moment, whether it's buying 200 loo rolls and 25 packets of pasta, or whether it's carrying on as usual and saying, sod it, you know, my life's not going to change, whether it's burying our head in the sand, whether it's isolating ourselves, whatever it is, we're all about survival. So just know that whatever the behaviour you're seeing, it's often linked to that. So what does that mean for us as leaders? Well, firstly, I think the important thing to say is that none of us has all the answers. And sometimes as managers, we often feel that we should have all the answers, we should know what to do, but we don't. So these are some of the things that I think we can do right now to really help us. The first thing I think is to put your own oxygen mask on first, by which I mean the most important thing is your well-being and the well-being of your team, because if you take care of your team, they're much more likely to take care of your customers, your clients, whoever it is that you serve in your work. The other thing I think is to just take care of or listen to the facts and the data. There is so much BS, excuse my language, circulating around social media at the moment. Let's just focus on what's fact and what's real. And the other thing is not to obsess over it. You know, I found myself yesterday just looking at the news every few minutes to see what was going on, and it's absolutely pointless. It gets us nowhere. So limit your exposure to the news, just so you can act based on what's reality and what isn't. The other thing I think we need to do is communicate very clearly what we're doing and not doing, because you know what happens if people are left in the dark, the grapevine gets going and people will make up their own stories which may or may not be true. And as the famous saying goes, we need to focus on what we can influence and change, and the rest really we've just got to let it go because we can't. But if we focus on what we can influence and change, that will help give us the impetus to do what we need to do. And I think in these times it's a great opportunity to think about how we're working and look for better ways to work, and to focus relentlessly on the things that are going to make the biggest difference. Because let's face it, we're all probably doing stuff that doesn't move the dial, that doesn't actually achieve anything. Let's just stop doing it and focus on the things that are really, really important. There's something else I want to say, and it's this. It's very easy to have that message, let's all be positive, let's get on with it. But I don't think that's always helpful, because it closes the door down to people really sharing what they're feeling or what they're thinking. So, you know, in our teams we may have people who are worried about a partner losing a job. Maybe they're on 0 hours contracts. Maybe you or one you know works for the NHS or in retail. These people are having to carry on, and if you're one of those people, thank you so much, because you know it's only people like you selflessly working that don't have the opportunity to work from home that can keep the rest of us going. So if you know people who are working in those fields, do whatever you can to support them. I think at this time it's just about being human really, and showing that real humanity. And it's a real opportunity to make sure that those values that we've probably got hanging on our wall in our receptions or written down somewhere, that we are actually living those values and doing what we say we will for our teams and for everybody else. And I think instead of that let's all be positive message, I think we actually need to ask questions. So things like, how are you feeling as you start the week? Is there anything you're particularly concerned about? What's the sort of support that you need from me or from the rest of the team? How can we make this work? What are the things we need to focus on when, the situation is changing rapidly? So I think those conversations are really, really important. It's about opening the door to conversation and really listening to what people say. Because, the cliche is true, we are all in it together and there's going to be some tough times ahead potentially. So if we follow those tips, then we're much more likely to be able to work with our teams in the way that we need to work with them. So that's my first thoughts on a Monday, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about team working, or remote working I should say, over the next day or two, because I know that's something that's quite new for many teams. I've been working virtually a lot, and certainly over the last 5 years since I moved over to France. So if you've got any questions on that, if you've got some ideas you want to share with this group, any questions at all, please ask them. We're all here to support each other. There's 1,500 of us in this group, coping, surviving in our own different ways. So let's see how we can raise the bar for all of us and step up for all of us and really just help each other in these very, very challenging and uncertain times. So that's it from me. I'll be back again tomorrow with my thoughts about virtual working. Anything at all you've got for me or for the group, please put it in the box and I'll speak to you tomorrow. Thanks for listening and have a good week as much as you can. Thank you.